Hello everyone and welcome to Football Newsroom for the match preview of the El Gran Clasico. Now, this is clearly one of those matches in football you simply cannot miss. It is the most anticipated tie in football history and we all know that this tie can never disappoint. Now, we have got a lot of things to cover, from players available to the predicted lineups and a very detailed analysis on the tactical front. It's all coming up guys, so sit back and enjoy the video. Now, the match will kick off from the Camp Nou on Wednesday evening at 8 PM local time. Kicking off with Barcelona, Arthur might miss this game due to his pubis injury. He is suffering with this from the end of last season and things are not really very clear about what is going on. He rarely plays a full game of 90 minutes and this is somewhere where Arthur must improve. Everything except his injuries and stamina seem to be perfect. You look at his ball distribution, pass accuracy, playmaking in general, and even helping out in the back. He has all the qualities. Being compared to someone like Xavi is a huge thing. We are not saying he is a perfect replacement. No, replacing Xavi is never possible. But what we are saying is that he clearly has the potential to be one of the very best and most consistent central midfielders in the world. Barcelona is the perfect club for him, and maybe with a little more time we will finally see an injury-free Arthur performing at his very best. Moving on, another Barca star set to miss this game is the Frenchman Ousmane Dembele. He is out till February and we really feel sorry for him. He has had a very injury-ravaged Barcelona career. Whenever he looks to be in good touch, the injuries bring him down. This has been happening for a long time now and we hope things turn out to be right with Dembele after February. Now, moving on to Real Madrid, they are also out of their star signing Eden Hazard. Even though he was expected to return early after the injury he suffered against PSG, things did not really turn up that quickly and as a result, he will miss the first Clasico he was supposed to be playing. Real are also out of the services of James, Asensio and Lucas Vazquez. They too are out injured and are supposed to return in January or even February as in the case of Asensio. Moreover, Marcelo is still a major doubt and is probably set to miss this game. This will be a major blow for Real Madrid as both of their players on the left hand side of the pitch are out. Generally, as statistics of this season say, Real love to attack down the left a lot more than they do down the right. This might change in the Clasico. However, I believe instead of these injuries, Real have a lot of quality in their squad and especially their young players who are doing an excellent job whenever they are given an opportunity. Moving on to the lineups, we don't expect many changes from the Barcelona side that were held against Sociedad. It was a very poor display from the team at the Anoeta and we will be discussing a little more about that when we discuss the tactical fronts. In terms of the starting lineup, we believe someone like Valverde will go for the same set of players if they are all available to play. Alba was subbed off early and we might see a change there and another change might be for someone like Vidal coming in for Rakitic. These are the possibilities, but we have gone for the same set of players that started against Sociedad. For Real, I expect two changes from the side that visited the Mestalla. Casemiro was obviously rested because he was at a risk of being suspended and is obviously returning against Barcelona. In the last few years, he has been the man in charge to stop Messi and will have a pivotal role in this game too. Another change will see Mendy come in for Nacho. As we are not sure about Marcelo, we have gone for Mendy as he is a natural left back. Zidane might go for a more experienced Nacho though. With him you can also get a better defensive option. We have gone for Mendy though. We think that his support up front will be very crucial in this game and he has also played a lot of more games recently. So that makes a back four of Carvajal, Varane, Ramos and Mendy. But we are not yet sure about who Casemiro will replace in the midfield. And let's face it guys, it's a very difficult call for Zidane. Personally, with Valverde's recent performances, I think he needs to start this game. And that basically leaves us with Modric and Kroos. We have gone for Kroos. Again, the midfield trio is very difficult to choose and Zidane might choose differently. Up front, we have gone for the same three players, Rodrigo, Benzema and Isco, to start in the El Clasico as well. Now, let's move on to the tactical side of the game. How each team will set up with the course of the match and what are the strengths and weaknesses of the two teams with their system. We will also focus a little on the last few games of these teams in order to give you a clear picture of how exactly the system works out. Starting with Barcelona, we will firstly like to say what we have said before on a number of occasions. This team is very inconsistent. Sometimes they look like one of Europe's best and sometimes they struggle against bottom La Liga sides. Moreover, the recent result-based approach of the club hides the poor performances. You look at the game this season, the game against Leganes, the game against Slavia in the Champions League. Barcelona were lucky to win those games. These teams came out at them and were far better in terms of the performances. This has been a clear issue for Barcelona for the past 2 seasons under Valverde, and if the Barca fans are agitated by this coach, the players and the board, it is very understandable. That aside, let's look down at the problems the team has been facing so far. Firstly, their defending has been a lot worse than the past 2 seasons. They are conceding a lot more goals and are very occasionally managing to keep a clean sheet, even though they arguably have one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Barca generally defend in a 4-4-2 system, with Griezmann coming down in order to support his team. Now, in general, this is a very balanced system and is not broken down very easily. The problem arises with the pressing. Barcelona these days seem to have forgotten how to press. The half-hearted pressing by the forwards forces the midfielders to move up, and this often leaves huge chunks of space between the lines, which the other teams can exploit. Moreover, Barca while attacking commit a lot of players forward. Generally, the wingers tuck inside and pull the defense narrow to allow the fullbacks to overlap. With Messi often tucking in the central areas, the midfielders make alternate runs up front, and this also creates a lot more space for Messi between the lines. But whenever they lose ball in the clinical areas up front, they are vulnerable to counter-attacks down the wide areas. Busquets has never really been the quickest player of the team and has slowed down even more so with time. This also means that the opponents find a lot of space between the lines, and this creates a lot of pressure for the defensive line. Real will be using the pace of their young forwards and hurt them whenever they can during the counter-attacks. But that said, counter-attacks is not the only problem for this Barcelona side. Sometimes we find teams going for a regional overload in one side of the pitch and then switching play to the other side to grab more space. This also allows them to cross the ball a lot more easily. Even though Barca are defending crosses better than they did before, they are conceding a lot of crosses these games. And any team with a proper aerial threat can hurt them. And even defense is not the only issue for this Barcelona side. They are having some serious problems in midfield and even up front. The most astonishing part is how hard Barcelona find it nowadays to play out from the back. Most teams press high against Barca and they don't seem to have an answer for this. Time and again we find the centre backs playing it back to Ter Stegen, who is forced to go long because of a lack of shot options. Only when De Jong and Arthur are playing together in the pitch, things look a little different. Otherwise, we don't really see those moments when we would just bypass the opponent's press with ease. Now, as Barca go long, generally Suarez acts as the target man to win the first balls. But that rarely happens, as the defenders are always lurking behind him, ready to dispossess. As a result, they lose possession a lot and lack the creative play they once enjoyed. Moreover, while attacking, there is a clear lack of movement in the final third. Time and again we just find Barca moving the ball from one flank to the other with no real plan or purpose. Messi and Suarez often create something out of nothing, and even out of these situations, they score wonderful goals. Their individual brilliance often hides the true inefficiency of the system. I believe with a proper structure in the defense and with the proper support from the midfielders, Real have the potential to stop Barca. Now, Real generally defend in a 4-4-2 or even a 4-5-1 formation with both the wingers tracking back when required. Casemiro in this game will stay a little deeper and try to cover the space between the lines for the runs of Messi. But as we had seen in the game against Atletico, Messi can also choose to stay wide if he doesn't find much space in the central areas. The central midfielders and even the fullbacks will be under tremendous pressure if that actually happens. Real generally play with a very high line, and with possession, as we saw against Valencia, the defensive line often pushed high in Valencia's half as well. However, I think in this game, Real's defense should not move up that high. Barca have a lot of pace to work with the likes of Griezmann and Messi, and a quick break might hurt them. Now, if they are not pushing that high, space is left in between the lines, and this is where Casemiro's colossal role comes into play. He must stay close to the centre backs and be a little less attacking. Another problem might be with their fullbacks pushing high up the pitch. This can also be answered with Casemiro's role in between the centre backs. Now, while attacking, Real often switch to a 4-2-3-1 formation when required. Whenever Isco starts down the right, he tucks inside and Valverde with the support of Carvajal controls the right hand side of the pitch. This also means that Casemiro will move a little towards the right and Cruz will move a little deeper, and there you see the double pivot. This system also helps in building up from the back, As Kroos moves deeper, he finds more space as he evades the press of the midfielders. This also helps in better creativity, and with Isco dropping, they won't really face a problem in midfield. Moreover, with their fullbacks overlapping, they can also create regional overloads and then switch play or even pull in crosses in the central areas. Off the ball, Real can focus on the wider areas of Barcelona during counter-attacks. Generally, Barca commit a lot of players forward with both their fullbacks pushing up. This leaves them vulnerable in the wider areas. Real can use this to their advantage, whether it's with Benzema moving wide or with Rodrigo staying a little higher. Moreover, the midfielders will be in charge of stopping Barca's patient build-up phase. If they can do this successfully, they can hurt them on the break. Real can also focus on the space in between the lines of Barcelona. Nowadays, we sometimes find Benzema coming deeper and moving all over the beach when required, and this might help them grab more space. In general, I think the first 10 to 15 minutes will be very crucial for both teams. After that, I believe the game will slow down and Barca will see more of the ball. The Real defense must stay compact and should not allow much space to the Barca players, otherwise Griezmann or Messi can hurt them. Another thing I would like to point out is how Messi changed his role and actually stayed wider. In the Atletico game, he moved wider and targeted Saul. This meant that Saul couldn't move that high now, and while defending, he faced trouble as Roberto and De Jong always exploited the space in between the centre-back and the full-back. We might see a similar situation in this game, and if that actually happens, Mendy will need proper support from the midfielders in order to stop this. Now, for Barcelona, I think Ter Stegen, Jordi Alba, Piqué, De Jong and Messi will be the most important players. For Real, I think Ramos, Casemiro, Kroos, Valverde and Benzema will have a very important role to play for them. While coming out from the bench, Vinicius can play a very important part for Real, while Ansu Fati can also play a very important part for Barcelona. That's about it, guys. Please leave your thoughts in the comments down below and please share the video. Stay tuned to the channel because we'll be joining you for the match review.